Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let Loose with Moose. Today I have Dan from Blocmates with me. So this is part 3 and the final series with the members of the Blocmates. Hello Dan, how are you doing?
Saving the best till last. I love it, Moose. I'm great, thank you, and I'm really honoured to be here. And like we were saying just before, I'm normally the one on the other side of the mic where you are asking the questions. So I'm a little bit nervous as to what you're going to ask and what you're going to grill me on, but I'm super stoked and super excited as well.
Now I'm sure with your experience you'll handle it easily, man. So let's begin.
Let's see.
Let's begin with your introduction and of course to let us hear about your crypto origin story.
So my crypto origin story started probably in somewhere you would never expect, and it was in the back of a taxi in Nepal going to a mountain climb. And me and my girlfriend at the time had met this couple, and the guy was like a pure degenerate in real life, and it turns out he was a degenerate on the internet as well. And when we were in the taxi, he was asking me about, have I heard of crypto? I was like, oh yeah, dude, I've always wanted to get into crypto. I've always been interested in it, but the barrier to get in back then, this was probably like 2014, 2015. The barrier of entry to actually like get on it was like, you basically have to know somebody in the dark web to sell them a pizza with a Bitcoin to then they'll allow you to then go buy some crypto. So I kind of like poo-pooed it, but always just kept it in the back of my mind and stayed up to date with it. You fast forward to about 2017, and then that's when I had a friend who actually showed me how to get into it. Told me some things to look at and what to buy. So my first experience in crypto was with Kusama, and I was a massive polka dot and Kusama ball because I managed to catch and ride the Kusama wave from about $75 all the way up to 700, about $700-800 or whatever the all-time high was, which sounds great in theory, and on paper it was extremely lucrative. However, dipshit here gets caught up in the polka dot parachains. Let me go and I've just seen the Moon River parachain just print millionaires. So okay, cool. Let me go stake my KSM in the parachain. Let me go get free tokens because I stake them, I get free money. Awesome. Obviously the lockup for the parachains back then was a year or 2 years. It was a year on Kusama, 2 years on Polkadot. So I aped all of my Kusama into the Kusama parachain auctions because I got caught up again with the community. I was like, yeah, it's going to 1,000, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward 12 months and my Kusama was worth absolutely nothing. And the tokens that I'd managed to acquire from these parachains, again, were absolutely nothing. So to say I round-tripped one of my biggest wins and losses there is an understatement. But that was my first experience in crypto.
Shit, that was really, really awesome, man. Like when you first mentioned, like when you were at the back of a taxi, like if my video was on, and then you should have seen my face. I was like, what the fuck, dude? I've never heard of that story. I've never met someone who started like that.
Yeah, and he was telling me all about. I think there was like a website before CoinGecko, before in coin market cap. So, you should go check this out. Look at all the coins. And obviously, the only thing you could buy pretty much back then was Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then XRP. And I think this dude had like a big old bag of XRP at the time. So he was like shilling me that. And I'm like, bro, I don't know anyone in the dark web. I don't have a Bitcoin to buy a pizza for somebody to go and help me get in the back door of it. But keep talking because this sounds really cool.
The guy must have been like a millionaire and retired by now or something.
Either that or he went as flat broke as I did.
Right. But I think it's really nice to hear because how everyone starts in the bull market and then you can have your first bag and everyone could have different bags, right? Like yours is Kusama. I don't think I've met anyone who started from Kusama, to be honest. So it was really nice to hear that.
Yeah, and like the thing, what really frustrated me about Kusama and Polkadot is both of these networks were long before their time, and I feel like if they were released now with the whole like cross-chain interoperability and whatnot. I think they could have done a lot better. But what's so frustrating is Gavin Wood, I always believed was a bit of a gigabrain, and he is. But the thing that Polkadot and Kusama didn't have was, good marketing, good communities, or communities that were shilling hard on like crypto Twitter. And it was one of these networks, similar to Cosmos as well, that was, built by devs for devs to show off what devs can do, because devs like to make cool tech. When in reality, if you're looking at something like, and I'm probably going off on a tangent here, but if you're looking at something like, Base, that's, they've obviously got some gigabrain devs behind it creating some cool tech, but they've got the most important thing, which is connections behind the scenes. They've got hype, they've got, usability, narrative, and it's something that I think will obviously, do really well in the future.
Yeah, man, super interesting to see how Base gonna develop and grow through the next few months or into the next cycle as well. By the way, I want to ask,
100%.
the Kusama story, this was like in what, 2021? 2020?
No, when was it? Yeah, it must have been like 2021 or something.
Right, like that was when everything was moaning, I think Kusama as well. And then actually I want to ask, the next question is, how did you end up joining Blocmates then? Were you sharing your taxi story?
No, I was actually sharing feet pics with Jedi, and he obviously liked the pictures I was sending him on a daily basis. And then he was like, "Hey, you should meet Grant. Here's his pictures."
There's no way, dude.
So I used to live over in Asia, and I made the bold decision right as the market was crashing, to actually quit my job and then move to Thailand. So I quit my job, I moved to Thailand. I had somehow managed to find the Blocmates Discord, which I think came from a guy called Shitcoin, because he did a really good Twitter thread ages ago on actually how to be a shitcoin degenerate and make 7 figures. Obviously, I've not made 7 figures from shitcoining. I actually probably lost 7 figures, but that's that's a whole nother story. So now I'm in Thailand. I'm having a good time. I'm learning my Thai because I wanted to learn. It was one of the skills that I'd always wanted to learn. So I put myself through like a 3-month my Thai camp. And as the market started to go down, so did my shitcoins. And then all of a sudden, in the Blocmates Discord, Jedi made an announcement. He was like, "Sup plebs, looking for someone to write a newsletter." I'm like, "Write a newsletter? Oh, I've never done that before. My grammar's not very good. Grammarly doesn't always help me. But yeah, let's give this a go." So I sent Jedi a quick email, and then because I was in Thailand, I literally on basically like a napkin, it was on a shitty bit of paper, I drew a picture of how this newsletter would look. I took a picture with my phone. I'll have to see if I still got it somewhere. And I literally sent it to him. He's like, "Yeah, look shit, I think we should jump on a phone call." So then Jedi and I jump on a phone call. I tell him my situation in Thailand, what I'm doing there, my crypto story, a little bit of history about me, just like, the doc side of me that isn't like in crypto. And then he's like, "Yeah, dude, like your vibe. Next test is Grant." So I ended up chatting with Grant. We ended up getting on like a house on fire. And then, yeah, ever since then, I've written the newsletter, The Ape Enclosure. Obviously, subscribe to it if you haven't, and been a part of the Blocmates team, which, truth be told, is one of the best decisions they've ever made, and it pretty much saved my life, which is pretty cool as well.
Are you English, by the way?
I never know how to answer that, because that could be like a really good thing or like an unfortunate thing. But yeah, I am English.
Yeah, sounds about right. You're cocky as hell, dude. Just
mate,
kidding.
Most people call me a prick or a douchebag or a bellend.
Wait, no, I interrupted my own train of thoughts. I can't remember what I wanted to say.
Hey, don't worry, dude. It's okay. That mate is good banter. And like I was telling you a little bit earlier, I used to live in Singapore like years ago. I lived there for about 3.5 years, and I could never quite connect with some people, because in England we got a thing called banter, which is like what you just did. You basically called me a bellend, and I laughed because I thought that was funny. Now, when I had a lot of like Singaporean local friends there, And when I would come on a bit too strong with like English banter, it just fell completely flat. And
Oh,
what I
right.
started to learn is, English humor doesn't always work. Okay.
Probably the older
Time to shut
folks.
up, Dan.
Yeah, I get what you mean, man. Probably the older folks who are more like that, but I think with us, the younger guys, we just ask you to shut the fuck up sometimes, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
No, I remember now. So, could you send me the picture? Do you still have that picture where you drew on the napkin in your phone?
If I can find it, I will.
If you could send it to me, I'll probably post it as like the Twitter cover or something instead of the usual picture that we use.
Yeah, okay.
That'll
Let
be
me let
fun,
me let
right?
me dig that out. Let me
Yeah,
dig that
and
out today.
yeah, but that was quite interesting, right? Like you mentioned, they were looking for someone to write a newsletter, and you went like, I've never written that before. I'm not good at grammar, but let me apply anyway.
Yeah, mate. I don't know. I wanted to make it in crypto. I wanted to make this like my career because I believed in the tech and I believed in the movement that it was creating. And then yeah, I mean, when you sat in a room after like 4 hours of training and someone says, "Do you want to write a newsletter?" You're like, yeah, sod it, why not? What's the worst that can happen?
Right, but did you have any? I mean, like we've all seen the newsletter and how it has evolved and grown over a period of time, right? But did you face any problems, or like what were the problems that you faced in, let's say, the first few newsletters that you wrote?
Probably like the hardest part to begin with. And if anyone does any writing, they probably have experienced this. It's finding the information. And when it comes to the news, we all know crypto moves literally on like an hour by hour basis. So for example, if I wrote something today that was to get published tomorrow, there's a very strong possibility that whatever today's news is either irrelevant or has moved on to tomorrow. So what I had to do right at the start was find sources of news and alpha aggregation that would keep me up to date, but keep me up to date fast. So then I can flick through things very quickly, see what it is, digest it, and then try and basically like write about it in like my tone slash the Blockmates tone. That was probably the hardest thing. The second hardest thing I'd say is I'm not a writer. I was bang average at English at school. I actually ended up doing food technologies as an A level. So you can tell I was slightly more creative with food than I am with words. So actually learning how to write in a manner that somebody is going to listen to, understand, and relate to was also quite a hard challenge as well.
Awesome, and I really like that you mentioned looking for aggregators that help you find the alpha because how fast this space moves, right? And obviously you've been able to done that, and you've written a lot of newsletters and stayed really up to date. So my next question to you would be, what is your best source of information?
Ooh, that's a really, really good question. Um, for the newsletter specifically, I'm going to want to say it's a mixture of Discord and DeFi Llama's Telegram channel. Now, in Discord, like in a variety of different like I don't know, like channels or whatever you want to call them, and I find that in some of the channels, they always like post really good, up to date like happenings with tweets. You see the tweet, and then you can like dig into it quite quick. The DeFi Llama Telegram channel is really cool because they split things up into like news, into articles, into raises, into project updates. So you've got all this stuff that are in ecosystems you're not connected to, because I'm not connected to everything that you can see, you can quickly digest. It's DeFi, it's degenerate, and then you can move on onto writing something. Plus, I've created a few just Twitter lists of my own of like crypto chads and crypto news that I'll just like flick through as well.
Awesome, nice. And like, would you say the discords were kind of those private group discords, or are they just some random servers that you happen to join from friends or something?
Pretty much just like random ones that I've like joined over time. So obviously the Blockmates one, you've got loads of degenerates in there that just spam like Twitter stuff. You've got The Hero Network one. There's a lot of guys in a channel called The Pit that post up really cool stuff. For macro, I actually really like The Rational Investor, which is run by Brian Beamish. And I've listened to a lot of his podcasts. I've done parts of his course, and he's like one of the best traders that you've probably never, ever heard of. So a massive shout out to him. But I learned a lot from him and one of his students, Random Task, as well. So massive shout outs to those guys. But they're kind of like the main ones I'll just flick through.
Awesome, nice. And you've obviously been really good at all this kind of thing, right? Navigating through the markets, done so many interviews and written newsletters. And we've been in the bear market for quite some time now. Would you be able to share what your bear market strategy has been?
Yeah, my bear market strategy has literally, and this is an old saying that I always used to have. It's hood up, head down, and get the fuck on with it. And that has literally been my bear market thesis throughout. Literally sit on a laptop, put your hood up, focus in on tunnel vision, and simply just get it done. Because my biggest belief is when we were deep in the bear market to the point like it felt sick some days to see how much like your portfolio had dropped and how like underwater you were, or I was anyway. It's like, okay, I need something to pull me through this. This is not going great. What was my old saying? Hood up, head down, and get the fuck on with it. And then that really pulled me through it. And what I think we did at Blocmates really, really well is we just kept consistent. There was days, you can probably see it in our eyes on the podcast, that we didn't want to talk. We didn't really want to try and make jokes or be laughs. We didn't really want to talk about a market that for the 69th week had been continually crashing, but we did. And we did it every single week, and we kept outputting content. We kept on having fun despite how much our eyes might have said otherwise, and we just kept going, because the belief is the work that you put in on the bear market will flourish during the bull market, because what we do is very unique. And there's obviously like bigger media companies and agencies, well, not agencies, there's bigger media companies and productions than us, and we're going to come for them, and we are in the next bull run going to be one of the next big bull run winners. Fact.
I like that. Nice. Sounds really awesome. And yeah, imagine you guys go on your stream or your channel and be like, welcome back to the nth week where we are down another 10% yet again.
it literally was that.
Right. No, but jokes aside, but how would you apply this to, let's say, your portfolio, right? Because I believe you were mentioning, referring more towards the work side where you guys are pushing out content, but how does this apply more to you on a more personal level? Could you elaborate a bit on about that?
Yeah, if everything's going down, don't buy it. Simple as that. And I stayed quite strict to that. I was like, look, right now, do I have an edge? No. Fantastic. That's my trading day done. I do not need, if I don't have an edge, I'm not going to make a trade, because it just doesn't make sense. Because what a lot of us have done, and probably what people are still doing, they buy the dip of the dip of the dippity dip. And I don't think anybody was expecting Bitcoin to go from 69K down to 18K. Now, could you imagine you've got like, even if it's just like 10 grand, you buy the dip 10 times, you start with 10 grand at the top. And then by the time you've bought your last $1,000 at the bottom, you probably got like $1,600. So my strategy was super simple. If you don't have an edge, don't do anything and go and find your edge. Then make a smart decision on what you think is going to happen next and what the narrative happens. And probably like one of the biggest things I've learned from Grant is to be basically like a narrative swing trader, because holding long-term bags in Bitcoin, holding long-term bags in crypto, unless it is something like maybe Bitcoin or Ethereum or maybe, well, I want to say USDC, but that depegged a couple of times. Unless you're bag holding something like that, chances are it's going to go to zero, or you're going to make a substantial loss. Now, to me, it just didn't make sense at the time to hold things that go into a loss and then hold that loss again over a long period of time just for it to break even or to keep dollar cost averaging as it goes down. I'm more interested in playing the narrative. I'm more interested in, maybe building a longer term bag in something that is potentially going to be more fruitful. But even if you're looking at the stock market, even now, like there's only really 7 stocks that we all should have bought, or some of us probably did, that we all should have bought right at the start of the year. The rest of like the S&P, for example, is just like poo-poo. It's naff. So you've always got to be careful. If you're a long-term investor, awesome. If you can withstand and like hold through the losses, cool. But if you can't, just make a strategy that's swingable. If you're in profit 50%, like it's okay to sell it. Like people might say, oh, you're cheat, you only made half of an X. Like, bro, if you made 50% on every single trade you made, you would probably make a lot more money in the long run than if you were trying to hold for 100x when it's gone down 10x, But at the end of the day, it's like it's your money, right?
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in the community. Like, this is your hard-earned dollars, bro. If you've just made 500 quid or $500 and that's a win for you, I'm gonna say fucking jeet your bag. Like, I've got a 10 committed beliefs little board in front of me. Just then, these are things that just help me on a daily basis. And one of them is, this is point number 9 on there. It's jeet first, jeet fast, because ramen is so 2022. And that basically signifies to me, if a player's looking bad, just fucking sell it. Just sell it, jeet it, right? Because eating ramen for a year, as much as I am the chief ramen officer of Blocmates, eating ramen for a year is pretty shitty. And I want steak. And I'm going to protect my capital. I'm going to protect essentially, see your capital as your life. I'm protecting my life with everything I can. So fuck it. Jeet first, jeet fast, because ramen is so last year, dude.
Dude, that was fucking amazing, dude. Oh, I was really glad that you kind of mentioned towards the end about swing trading and narrative trading, because no way am I going to believe that you didn't buy anything for the past, let's say, even 2 weeks or 2 months, right? Because there have been some coins that have been running pretty hard, and there's no way that I would believe that you haven't bought any of them.
I'm going to let you into a little secret. I've not actually bought anything for probably about like a month or so. And
for real?
Mate, 100% for real. I'm a very good commentator. I'm good at posting shit and making LARP, but I've had a lot of like negative experiences recently, like both in real life, but in like the trading floor. So I'm extremely, extremely cautious. And for me to make a trade now, it has to be extremely high conviction. And I've also gone to the point at the moment, just in my like trading life, where it's like, look, do I have a definitive edge? Right now, not really so much. Am I happy with where my portfolio is? Yes. Do I need to make a trade, or, do I need to make a trade today? No. Am I quite happy writing my newsletter? Yeah. Have I missed a lot of massive plays? Hell yeah. Have I made good commentary on them? Of course I have. Have I entertained? Yep. And for me right now, that is a lot more important. It also didn't help that like a couple of months ago I got completely drained and wiped out. So there's a little bit of like PTSD there.
Oh shit. Are we gonna hear the story?
I obviously left something somewhere on like a drive that I have, and somebody like managed to get it, hack it, drain it, and I was sat there talking to Jada on the phone, and I saw everything, like every single like coin just vanish from my wallet. And the only reason I knew it was happening is because I set up alerts on my own wallets, so via Celio and Zerion, so I could see in the top right hand of my corner. I was like, oh, that's somebody's moving like a chunk of money. Let me have a look. Then I was like, that's my wallet. I was like, oh my god, there it goes. It goes. And then it got to the bottom, and like my bottom bag was PSI. And like my PSI, I really messed that up. My PSI was so underwater. I looked at it and I was like, ha, you can have that bag. I don't give a shit about that one. You can enjoy that one, dude. And then because I track his wallet as well, and I've messaged some people because he's hacked and drained other people with ENSs. So I've messaged them. They've never replied because they probably think I'm a nut job saying, hey, dude, check your wallet. You're getting drained. And I just remember looking at the hackers like, ha, enjoy the PSI, dipshit. It's going to zero. And unfortunately, like for all my PSI maxes out there, because I was one, it has unfortunately gone to zero. So
Oh shit! Super sorry to hear that, man.
man, it's all good. The main thing was he didn't get my NFT, and that's all I cared about because it's a Wen Llama's NFT. It's Llama Link.
Oh, that's a sick one. Yeah.
But that is like the best one. So I was super stoked. Super stoked he didn't get that. But if I ever see him, I will not say what I'm going to do because that could be implicated.
Man, NFT people are really like that. Like drain my whole wallet as long as I have my NFT.
Yeah, I know, right? Don't, bro, take my money, but not my PFP, bro. Not my PFP.
All right. And we've talked about your bear market strategy. Now I want to hear about what you have planned for the bull market. What will be your bull market strategy? Because once Jedi once said that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So let's hear your plan.
That's literally it. I'm gonna have a plan, and this is something that I'm probably gonna, when I take some time off, really just reflect on an actual trading plan. Like I've got a very subtle plan that on paper works out quite a lot, but sometimes it's having the conviction or being there at the right time to actually make the trade. But mine's super simple. Like if it's on deck screen and you've got like the on-chain trades, what I found to work quite well, and this is only really with coins that are moving, is if it's bottomed on the RSI and you're getting an EMA flip with like the EMA crossover, if it's crossing over, a lot of the time it continues the movement. Same on the way down as well. If it's heavily overbought, well, chances are it's going to get dumped. 9 times out of 10, it gets dumped. The one thing I want to get better at personally is aping the top of parabolic runs, because you can always see when a parabolic run is happening. You just don't always know how far it's going to go. So the strategy will be to ape the top and then get the dip afterwards, and then hope it continues its parabolic movement up. Because you can see on something like, I don't know, probably Unibot's the greatest example, right? It went on this massive run, and you literally had up until about $220 to ape. And even at $220, you'd have made like a 2% return or whatever, or 1% return, because it hit like 222 is like an all-time high. Any point along that chart, because it looks so strong, you could have just aped and just ridden it until it like broke some of like the EMAs and the RSI was like super overbought. But that's it. And I have like a proper diary and everything. And there's a book I've got, I think it's called like Market Psychology. I forget the name of the author. And I remember starting to read it when I was in Thailand, and I went straight to the psychology section at the end. And it's fascinating to see how we as traders always hold ourselves back based on like a past experience. So I'm going to take some time this summer when I have some time off and like go on holiday or whatever, sit, read the book, make a plan, because when that bull run comes, I'm going to ape with a conviction like I did in the previous bull run. And then just enjoy the fruits of it, because my brain now is so much more educated on it. And maybe that's the downside on, you know, just holding with conviction, aping with conviction, and then also exiting with conviction as well.
Nice. I didn't know you were such a technical person, man. Like,
oh mate, I love TA. I think it's fantastic. It's when you see the psychology that's happening in the charts, it's fascinating, because they say charts speak, and they do. And if you're looking at charts in comparison with each other, you can literally see, if you've got the time to do it, you can see what's going to happen. And 9 times out of 10, and like even Jedi and like Grant would say this, like I've got a fairly decent read on it, but because I get so sidetracked with everything else that's happening in life, I don't ape or I don't buy, but I commentate. So I'd like to be able to do a little bit of everything. So, but yeah, like dude, it's fascinating. Like I know I'm going off a bit of tangent now, but if you look at things like the Dixie, if you look at things like the USDT dominance chart, you can see kind of like what's going to happen, because if USDT dominance chart goes up, that obviously means people are selling. As soon as you can see a flip reverse, then you know there's going to be a potential pump. And if you're looking at some of the candles and you look at candle patterns, you can kind of start to see where a potential reversal is going to go. And if you spend time looking at candles and volume profiles, you can also see roughly at what point of the chart that it's going to move to. So you can kind of judge roughly where you think it might go. And it's like with the S&P, I called it great in Discord. The S&P was going to hit 4,600 in reverse. Well, it hit 4,600 for a second time like it did sometime last year, and it's come back down.
Are you speaking? Because I kind of lost you.
No, that was kind of it, because I just saw a notification pop up on my laptop. I was like, oh, what's this person aping into? That's another thing. Like if you are looking for like your edge, I actually really like wallet tracking. Some people are a bit hit and miss with wallet tracking, but I really like it, and I find it fascinating to see what some of like crypto Twitter's, most in inverted commas famous buy, or just generally like what some of like the base traders are flicking through, because you can jump into things, obviously not straight away after them because you're buying the top of the candle, but you can kind of start to see trends if you've got people within the same kind of ecosystem. So things like, obviously won't like go into tokens too much, but you can just start to see things. And I think if you are trying to get an edge, learning how to wallet track and learning how to make a smart judgment based on the information that you can see and that is presented with you whilst doing some quick research, I think that's what's gonna give you a massive edge.
Yeah, I think CLO is one of the greatest tools out there. It's amazing but you have to find that wallet address first, and then everything else is magic.
Yeah, agreed. Same with Zerion, because Zerion gives me like desktop notifications. So as we were sitting here, somebody just aped 5 ETH into something. So in my mind, it's like, whoa, 5 ETH, that's a good chunk of change. Somebody's obviously aping with conviction. Now let me go see what that is.
Now I wanted to ask, so you mentioned EMA cross. So I was wondering what's the time frame that you use for the EMA cross?
So I find with like on chain, the 4 hours really good. On like sexes, on the big stuff, like on trading view, I always like the daily, because I find like if like the daily and the weekly are lining up, that's when you're going to get some bigger moves. But on chain,
I kind of meant like the number of candles, I think. So like some of them, they use what was it, like 7 and 21 cross, 8 and 13 or something.
Okay. So let me just pull up a chart. Where is it?
Like, I'm no technical expert, so yeah, let's hear it from you.
Yeah. So like for example, on Deck Screener, so I've got the EMA cross on, which is the 9 and the 26 EMA, and I like them because they're fast moving EMAs, and because on chain is so fast, like you want to be ahead of the curve, you want to see trends a lot faster. So you can start to see where things break the smaller one. If it breaks the second one and the RSI is looking good, like an upwards motion, then chances are, with obviously like assuming volume is still good, chances are that it's gonna continue to go up. If it's on a higher time frame, so let's say if I was looking at something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, Solana, or whatever, then I'd look at like 50 EMAs, 200 EMAs. And then what I found out, and this is when I was signed up to just a Patreon, the guy was talking about the 800 EMA, and I'm thinking, the 800 EMA, dude, like, what the hell? Have we broken the 200 EMA, so we need to go to the 3, to the 4, to the 5, all the way to the 800? But literally what it was is if you put the 800 EMA on, and then you also put it down to the hourly, majority of the times the chart reverses at that specific point. And I was looking at and like kind of like back testing the theory on putting up now on like Ethereum and Bitcoin, and literally every single time it donked the 800 EMA, it would reverse. And it was the most bizarre thing in the world, but it worked. So I used to, when I started doing leverage trading, I'd put like, I look at where like previous like highs and low were, like the tops of candles, and then where the 800 EMA was, and then just put like a stink bid in for like $100, 10x, whatever. And then it would happen. And I was like, wow, this is the most bizarre thing in the world. So it's quite cool just to see those kind of things and just play around with it.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of the 800 AMA.
No, nor have I. Like I was like, what? Okay, so if 800 doesn't work, I'm going to go to like the 1,000 EMA or what?
Right. And since you're such a good commentator, right, like you mentioned, my next question actually would like to hear about your thoughts on your commentary on the market outlook towards the last few months of the year that we have, and of course moving into 2024 where we have the Bitcoin halving as well. So I also saw that you posted the picture on your Twitter, right, of the rectangle. So let's hear it from you.
Yeah, so I quite like to look at narrative. I like to look at history as well. History says that in November we get a lot of like doom and gloom. I think the average loss on Bitcoin tends to be around like 7 or 8%. That takes us down to about 24 grand, $24,000 Bitcoin, give or take, which then does line up historically with some previous like mini tops and then wicks on the past. I'm fairly bearish just generally across the market at the moment as well, when you look at charts, when you also look at what's going on. Now, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I do love a conspiracy theory. Now, the conspiracy would say that we've got the Bitcoin halving next April. The majority of like the spot BTC ETFs need to have a decision made at some time in March at the very latest. Now, it would make sense to me that any kind of spot BTC ETF in America, because there's one already in Europe and on the Amsterdam exchange, would make sense to have that BTC ETF approved in the early stages of next year on the assumption that the halving spurs on another bull run. You've also now got a couple of approval / denial / delays happening in September. So again, it would kind of, and like obviously we know markets are illogical, but it would also make sense that if September is a historically bad month, decline the spot ETF or even like some of the Ethereum futures ETFs from going through in September, have a larger, broader market downturn, grab some of the liquidity that's sitting at all these different ranges, piss off a load of traders, and then continue to crab and then just generally go from there. Will we get a bull run towards the end of the year? I don't know, dude. Like I watch Jim Cramer, man, and you know, as soon as he turns bearish, that's when I'm going to turn bullish, and he seems pretty bullish on a lot of things at the moment, so I'm pretty worried.
That's nice. That's nice. Really nice to hear a commentary, man. You're so good at this, right? You obviously well trained.
Yeah, thank many hours in the dungeon with Jedi. He's trained me like a master. I'm his like young Padawan.
Oh yeah, Jedi speaks really, really well. Like really well.
Mate, like out of the three of us, and like without going into like the rest of the team, out of like Jedi, Grant, and I am definitely the dumbest, because Grant should have been like some kind of like biological space scientist.
Right.
Jedi, he probably told you he's got a PhD in like the most random thing in the world. I won't say what it was in case he hasn't said it. He's got a PhD in the most random thing in the world. And there's me. I just decided to start writing a newsletter from a gutter in Thailand. No, it's so strange. It's so funny.
Yeah, in fact, he hasn't told me, man. I'm gonna ask him after this. Like,
Yeah, I'll ask
hey,
him after because he'll say, "Oh, bro, I've got a PhD. Yeah, what's it in?" I will not name the subject, but when you hear the subject, you're like, "Yeah, but why'd you get that? What was that all about?"
that's interesting. Super interested. I'll find out that later. And I kind of have all the questions that I want to ask you already for the crypto side of things. And right now we'll kind of enter the segment to get to know more about you, Dan, as a person right behind beyond the job that you do at Blocmates. So as we all know, you work out a lot, right? You post your updates on Twitter almost daily, I think. So could we hear about a day in the life of Dan?
Uh, yeah, sure. And I guess I give a bit of context of just generally my history. So I used to work in fitness. I used to work as a personal trainer. I was a coach. I did a lot of sales across the globe. Like I worked, that's why I worked in Singapore and some other Asian countries because I was working in fitness. So I've always had like a massive fitness background, but I was never sporty because as a kid, I was the fat kid who used to steal 50p from his mum on a Friday to go buy muffins and secretly eat because it was a school bake sale and this girl I really fancied, her mum would always make these amazing little muffins. And yeah, I used to be little fat Dan, just there with my 50p and two muffins because they were 25p at the time. So my history goes back there. So to work in crypto was also one of the hardest things because now I'm sat behind a desk 16 hours a day instead of in a gym,
Right.
training and supporting clients and going through like life-changing transformations with people. So this is where this routine has developed and it's stayed. Now I get up between probably about like 4 and 4:30 in the morning. I get up, I have a quick snack. I'll either head to the gym, jump on my bike, or go for a run. And that's just to get my exercise done because it's my sacred time. Nobody's awake. And if they are awake, they're probably degenerate and whatever. We'll leave that redacted. So yeah, that gets my fitness done. I'll get home, I'll have breakfast. And this is all without flicking on social media or anything. I'll have some breakfast. I'll say hello to, because I still live at home. I say hello to my old dear, my mum, make a coffee, and then I will start behind the computer. So I'll set up my day on my paper, on my notepad, get my three big things for the day that I 100% want to get done. There is no excuses not to get these big three done because these are the three most important things. I'll then go through all of my messages that are on Discord, Twitter, emails, etc. So all of the messages from all of the people are out and done. It gets this is all by 9 a.m. by the way. So it's now 9 a.m. We have our team meeting with the whole of the Blocmates. Then we'll get on with the newsletter, go for some lunch, do some more newsletter or some crypto related work, go for probably like an hour walk in the afternoon, or maybe go back to the gym just because I'm bored and I want to just, I don't know, do some bicep curls and drink a protein shake, come home, do some more crypto stuff, talk to the community, look at charts, see what's going on, just trying to stay as connected as I can all the time. And truth be told, it's really sad, but I usually go to bed about 9 p.m. So then I can get up at 4 a.m. and just do all of the training that I enjoy.
Wow, that's like a really, really disciplined routine to do daily, man.
Mate, don't be stupid. Excuse the friendship. It's fucking stupid, mate. I kid you not. The only, look, Moose, mate. The only time, and I'm pointing my finger, and I wish it was on camera. I'm pointing my finger at you now. The only time you ever need to be awake at 4 a.m. is if you're going on holiday. There is no other reason for anybody on this planet to be up at 4 a.m. I don't care who you are. It's bloody stupid.
Then why do you do it?
Because it's the only time I can actually get my training in during the day because my brain is so active and like over the top that if I start working or logging into crypto and if I go for like, I don't know, 1 or 2 hour run, my brain's going to be thinking about whatever it is in crypto and I just won't switch off. So my time when I wake up, because it's so early, like my eyes are still gunky, I can't see a thing. And it's like, right, my brain's still off. Let me just like move my body. And I've got my Garmin on because I'm a massive advocate of Garmin.
Mm-hmm.
I've programmed whatever workout into my Garmin. If I'm going too slow, it beeps, then I go a little bit faster. If I'm going too fast, it beeps again, I go a little bit slower. So I make my training as fun and as brainless as I can.
Oh, that's nice, man. Like, I used to have a Garmin, super useful. Totally would recommend as well. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's because of your sports background as well that you're really be able to keep so disciplined. I think it's something that all kind of sportsmen is able to do. Like for me,
yeah, and you kind of
yeah,
you've got to like you've got to have like an outlet, and if you don't have an outlet, then doing what we do in such a fast-paced industry can be just a one-way ticket to meltdown. So like just getting up and doing some fitness, doing some exercise, like I know some of it, I'm not special, like I'm not exceptional at any of the fitness. I'm probably like just above bang average, to be fair. But even if you can only go for like a 1 kilometer run before you're pooped and then go for like a 1 kilometer walk afterwards, that's still a massive win. And one of the biggest things I used to advocate when I was just in fitness on a daily basis, and you might have seen it what I do on Twitter now, is the hashtag win the morning, because it's so important you start the day with a small little win. It just sets you up for huge success. If you know you've done something positive as soon as you've woken up, that's a win. Now, a win can be anything. You could get up and run half a marathon. That's awesome. You could also just get up and have a glass of water, and that could be your win for the day. So the whole premises around it is do the little things, do the things that you can identify as, yeah, that's a win. I feel good. My brain is switched on into the right direction. Doesn't matter how big. And that comes from my fitness background of being a transformation coach.
awesome. Like I was saying for myself, I could never wake up at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to go and exercise. Like when I had the time previously, I would wake up at like 9:30 and go to the gym at 10 a.m. and after that have lunch and then start the day. And right now, like my current schedule doesn't allow, so I still can't wake up at 5 a.m. Right? I'm barely awake at 8. So what I do now is I actually go to the gym at night, so like 11 p.m. and then probably gym until about 12:30 or 1 and then come back, get some rest for the next day. So yeah, so totally opposite of you, man. Like I'm starting my day not with exercise, but rather ending it with exercise instead.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's just as much of a win. It's like, okay, cool. With training late in the day, you can see like, look, this is my day done. It's closed. It's finished. And then that's your relaxation. And anyway, dude, training like as early as I do is fucking stupid. Like your body's not officially properly online. Like the sun, because I live in England at the moment, the sun isn't even up. So it's like pitch black. So you can't see shit anyway. Optimally, like if you are training later in the morning, awesome. But let's be honest, dude. I'm not being rude to any of the people in the gym that are there at like 4 or 5 in the morning, but the best looking babes are there like after 10 a.m. and usually between about 1 and 4 p.m. So if I was technically to do this properly, I'll go between 1 and 4 p.m. because you never know who you might meet.
Yeah, I think late afternoon or late mornings are a good timing for that.
Yeah, man, for real.
Yeah, I have a friend, like this is off topic, right? But I have a friend who I met on crypto who's English as well. And he wakes up, and he's probably going to listen to this episode, right? So, hi Ben. He wakes up at like 5 a.m. every day to go to the gym. So, I guess it's kind of I don't know, it's an English thing or something, man. But you guys are crazy.
Yeah, it probably just is a crazy Englishman thing.
All right, nice. And let's talk about some of your hobbies then. Obviously, exercise is one of them. What else do you like to do?
Truth be told, like between exercising and crypto, over like the last year, yeah, over the last like year and a half, 2 years, that is pretty much everything I've been doing. I don't really have like time to fit in another hobby on top of everything that I do. I'd love to. Like in an ideal world, I'd probably like learn to play the piano or learn to play the drums, just as a complete sidekick. And even like just being really bored and just doing like having a hobby that is like just stupid shit. Obviously, these aren't stupid hobbies, but it would just be one of those like fun things to have a hobby, go and doing random different hobbies. Like I'd love to do like like a clay pottery class and like make a proper pot of tea, or I'd love to go to like a knitting class or a sushi class, or just have a hobby that is just doing random other hobbies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that works, man. Like we do that pretty much in Singapore, I guess, as like date activities or something. Just go for random classes and do random stuff because there's not much to do here.
Oh mate, I remember. Oh, okay, I read between the lines there. Moose like, oh Dan, I think you should start going on some dates. Well, ladies, you have just joined Good Night with Moose with your sidekick host Dan from Blocmates.
It's a new series gonna start.
Yeah, new series. We'll launch that next week, dude.
Dating series. Nah, okay. So what about some of your goals, man? Like I'm sure you have some goals for yourself planned to accomplish either this year or in the short term future. Could we hear about them?
Oh yeah, goals is always an interesting one, and for me at the moment, a lot of my goals are oriented around like fitness. And I was supposed to be doing a crazy mountain duathlon in literally about, I don't know, like 10 days time. But because I've got a foot injury and a back injury, I've had to like pull out last minute. So the goal right now is to get my body back to where it was, into a more efficient like working patterns, probably the easiest way to describe it. When it comes to crypto, it's to continue doing what we're doing at Blocmates behind the scenes. I won't go into too much detail with it, but it is to really become an industry, kind of like an industry leader of what we're doing. And it's extremely possible with the plan of action we've got behind the scenes, and the daily movements that we're doing as well. Plus, I also want to move to a hotter country soon because England's cold, man.
Yeah, come back here, man.
Yeah, very.
Right. And let's wrap things up soon, right? We're talking for almost an hour now. Let's go with your greatest takeaway from being in crypto.
Greatest takeaway? Wow, that is a good question. And I know you asked me this a little bit earlier, and I've been sitting here trying to ponder, like, what is my greatest takeaway from being in crypto? And I think it's really has to be the people that you meet in the environment that you meet them, because it's the only place in the world that you can do a business deal and then get the transaction done within seconds to somebody that you may never ever know their real name of or see their face, because they are a penguin, a duck, or like a monkey PFP. It's a very, very strange place. The amount of trust that is between two people that have met online, it's very bizarre.
I gotta agree with that one, man. It's so interesting. Like meeting people from many different countries, hearing like I am hearing about your story now, right? I heard about Grant and Jedi's as well. So, and of course, made a lot of friends, of course, in the crypto space as well, from various countries, various backgrounds, right? Like you wouldn't have this opportunity anywhere else.
And that's the other thing. This is creating like a massive. This is creating an opportunity to. It's creating an opportunity to help me fulfill the internal goals that I've got. And like one of the biggest internal goals I've got. So just going back to your previous question, one of the biggest internal goals I've got, and this has always been there since in fitness, my goal is to change the world. And I don't care if it's a single person's world or literally the whole planet. And crypto for me is going to be the catalyst that allows me to do that, because it's going to allow for the funds, it's going to allow for the connections and the meeting of the kinds of people you want to be around. Because some of the life goals I've got, things aren't going to be cheap, things aren't going to be always easily accessible, and the anons that you meet online come from some of like the highest places within the business world. Within the business, whether it's banking, whether it's, I don't know, design, whether it's whatever. for me, crypto is that catalyst.
Awesome. That was good, man. That was good. And actually, just a random question. Um, do you have any luck alpha to share?
Well, obviously, as I am the chief ramen officer, and I've been LARPing on about Quest 4 for a long time. I just hope everybody out there who's been following like the Quest for LARP quests have already finished Quest 6 and 7, because hopefully 4 comes soon. But no, I don't know what Jedi shared with it, so I won't go into too much detail. But it's gonna give you access to a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we do and we're creating at Blocmates. It's gonna give you an inside look at what's going on. It's going to give you access to communities you might never have gotten into before. It's going to give you access to private things that we've managed to work out with projects we work with. And it's probably the coolest thing, I think, for me anyway. It's going to give whoever has them access to real life events that we will be setting up in the future. And I made a LARPy post on Twitter the other day, and I was like, because I saw the Barstool guys do this. I was like, if we're to do a Blockmates Awards next year, would you like it hosted in Colombia, Bali, or Thailand? And then when I was actually like thinking about it, I was like, you know what, that could actually be a great idea. And then I was thinking like, okay, cool. That could then be something for like the LARP holders, where we do this like massive event of really cool awards, LARPy rewards. Say, smartest degenerate could go to Moose, most kinky feet pictures to Jedi, or something like that. Something really silly, but in an environment that's fun, right? And you get a certificate, because everybody loves getting a certificate, a sticker, and a lollipop, and running like that. I think that would be quite cool.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if a few hundreds or thousands of people want to fly over for that, man.
Oh, mate, 100,000. We're talking millions, dude. Don't sell us short, Christ. No. It's not just going to be the LARPers. The LARPers will get private access. The rest of the world can get like general access.
Nice. But yeah, super looking forward to what you guys have planned. And we've been talking for a while now. Let's wrap things up, right? I'll have this final question for you. Could you nominate 3 guests for me for my podcast in the future?
Yeah, I'm going to nominate 3 guests, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
The three like guests I think would do really well on the show. Zero to Tom. So he's part of the Blockmates community. He does really cool, just little like daily updates on like his thesis on like Bitcoin, on Ethereum, and where the markets is. But he also does it with a really good looking like picture of a female or some kind of like gangster mafia, and the way he's branding himself on Twitter is super awesome. So definitely shout out Zero to Tom. I also think you should get the When Llamas team on, and like the Llama Quest team on, because I've done interviews with both of them, and what they're creating is more than just a llama NFT. And their whole ecosystem, I think, and I believe, has the potential, if they pull it off, to do extremely well. And then the final one probably might be a bit controversial, because I know people don't like this guy, but then some people love him for the entertainment purposes. And he's also made the announcement today that he wants to be the next BitBoy, because obviously like BitBoy, unfortunately, he's had a massive relapse and destroyed his life whilst destroying other people's. But I'm going to say, if you can get Gabriel Haynes on and talk about his fitness transformation, because I believe he's still going through his own fitness transformation, because he's a fat dude, like, and he needs to sort his health out because he's got a loving family. And it seems like from some of the videos that he's doing that. So it'd be really interesting to talk to him, not just about his crypto story, when he went to the Bahamas to try and find BitBoy, but also his fitness transformation and what his motivation is moving forward with it. They're the 3 I'd go for.
Nice. Like Zero to Tom is a friend. Like he has been posting really awesome stuff. I don't know where he went. Like he disappeared for a while now.
Yeah, dude. Where has Tom gone?
I'm not
Guys,
sure, man.
guys, drop in the comments that if you know where Tom is, put a shout out. Wrong answers only.
Right, and of course the Llamas team. I'm not in the community or not yet at least, right? But they do seem to be building some pretty cool stuff. And the last one for Gabriel Haynes, I'm not really following that guy. I'm not sure what he's up to, but sure, right? We'll
Mate,
see what we
definitely
can
do it. Like just like tag him on Twitter and be like, dude,
Yeah, we're gonna tag
come
him.
onto the podcast. And I've got one question for you, Moose. I'm going to throw this around to you now. This is, by the way, guys, if you listen, this is completely unscripted and unplanned. But Moose, what legacy do you want to leave on crypto?
Ooh, wow, that's a good one. You need to give me a few seconds to think about this, and then I'm gonna edit in literally a few seconds before I post my answer.
No, dude, you just need to edit in some like elevator music while we wait.
Yeah, that'd be funny. What legacy do I want to leave behind? I would like to, since I'm on this path now, right? Like, this was an unexpected path for myself, right? For doing this podcast. But since I'm doing it now, I would say, want to kind of interview and hear the stories of lots of crypto people, and hopefully be the one that can, how should I say this? Be the one that kind of spreads the stories and behind all these legends, right, that I've been interviewing. And obviously, hopefully in the future, where I've hopefully gotten bigger as an account, hear more stories of maybe smaller accounts, right? Like, there are a lot of smaller accounts that on Twitter, they're sharing really good stuff, but their voices might not be as heard, right? So at that point where I have a stage built, and then we could possibly bring them on and try to spread the word for them. Yeah, and I think that will be it. Kind of like the messenger, I guess. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I like it. And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Dan Blocmates, and this has been Good Moose. No, joking. I really liked the answer. Really, really liked it. It's good to see people like yourself, doing what you're doing. So please do just keep it up, and all the hard work will pay off.
Yeah, thank you. Like, it was just something that I didn't see in the space. All right, and this shall wrap up the episode, right? Thank you, Dan, for taking the time. I'll be linking all your stuff down below, and hopefully we get that picture of your ugly ass drawing of the newsletter to use as the cover. Right.
Mate, like I say, I'll have a look at it with Moose. I just want to say thank you so much for hosting myself, and then hosting the other fellas as well. And just generally keep doing what you believe in. If this is your internal alignment, just go balls deep in, and no matter what anybody says, fuck them, just keep doing it.
Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you to the listeners for tuning into this episode. We'll see you in the next episode. That brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Before you go, do remember to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you never miss a thing. Comment down below what you liked about this episode, who you would like me to interview next, or any topics that you want to learn more about. Until next time, this is Moose moving out.